Welcome to our deep dive on partial unemployment and the hard truth about earning while claiming. Today, we're going to demystify how part-time wages can affect your unemployment insurance benefits. First, we'll frame the problem. Then, we'll explain how partial unemployment calculations generally work. After that, we'll walk through a practical example, a decision framework, and a weekly timeline. Along the way, we'll highlight common pitfalls and include quick quizzes to cement your understanding. Finally, we'll wrap up with key takeaways and a clear call to action to protect your income. Here's our roadmap. First, we'll describe the core dilemma of earning while claiming. Next, we'll explain how partial unemployment systems typically operate. Then, we'll issue an important disclaimer, followed by a pre-job checklist you can apply. After that, we'll run a math example and visualize your weekly reporting timeline. We'll compare choices in a structured way, review pitfalls and fixes, and test your learning with short quizzes. We'll end with key takeaways and next steps. Here's the hard truth. When you move from a layoff into a part-time role, your new earnings can cut into your unemployment benefits significantly. If you misunderstand the rules or misreport your income, you can unintentionally reduce or even eliminate your weekly benefits. In many states, once you exceed a small earnings disregard threshold, your benefit is reduced dollar for dollar on the excess. This can make certain part-time offers financially neutral or even negative compared to staying with your UI alone, unless your part-time pay is clearly high enough to produce a net gain. Let's break down the mechanics. First, your weekly benefit amount, or WBA, is the maximum UI you could receive for a week. Second, your state sets an earnings disregard. This is a small amount you can earn each week without reducing your benefit. Third, when your gross earnings exceed this disregard, the excess typically reduces your benefit dollar for dollar. Fourth, if the excess equals or exceeds your entire WBA, you may receive no UI for that week. Finally, because these calculations and thresholds are different in every state, you must consult your state's official resources before making decisions. Important disclaimer. This video is for educational purposes only and is not legal, tax, or financial advice. EI rules vary widely by state and change over time. Always verify with your state's unemployment insurance agency and use its official calculator before making employment decisions. You must accurately report all gross earnings, including variable income and tips. Misreporting, including underreporting cash tips, can constitute fraud with serious penalties. Before accepting part-time work, confirm your state's weekly benefit amount and the exact earnings disregard policy. Use the official state calculator to test different scenarios. Estimate your gross weekly pay, including variable hours and tips. Model your taxes or withholding so you understand the take-home impact. Check whether the hours you plan to work affect eligibility rules, like availability for work or job search requirements. Plan to report gross earnings during your weekly certification. Finally, keep full documentation such as pay stubs, timesheets, and detailed tip logs. Let's do a purely illustrative example. Suppose your weekly benefit amount is $350. Your earnings disregard is $50, and your part-time gross wages for a particular week are $200. The excess over the disregard is $150. Under a common approach, that excess reduces your benefit dollar for dollar, which would reduce your UI from $350 to $200. Your total weekly income becomes $200 in wages plus $200 in UI, for $400 total. However, if your wages rise enough so that the excess equals or exceeds your full WBA, your UI can drop to zero for that week. Therefore, you need to ensure the part-time pay yields a true net gain after considering the reduction to your benefit. This timeline illustrates the weekly rhythm for many claimants. From Monday through Saturday, you work hours and, if applicable, earn tips. On Saturday night, you consolidate your records and calculate your gross earnings, including any cash tips. On Sunday, you file your weekly certification and report your gross earnings accurately. Between Monday and Tuesday, the agency typically processes your claim. Between Wednesday and Friday, payment is issued if you remain eligible after the earnings calculation. The key transition is Sunday's certification, where accurate reporting determines the benefit outcome. Here's a side-by-side comparison. Accepting a part-time job near the benefit cutoff can offer work experience, visibility with an employer, and potentially a path to a better role. However, your UI may be reduced dollar for dollar on earnings above the disregard, meaning your net could be the same or lower than staying on UI alone. This path demands careful reporting and record keeping, and makes sense primarily when wages are clearly above the reduction. Alternatively, a UI-only week offers predictable benefits and time for job searching, but lacks immediate wage growth and networking. If a part-time offer is very low, the UI-only route may result in similar income for that week. Weigh short-term income against long-term opportunities and schedule stability. Let's examine common pitfalls and their fixes. First, guessing your disregard leads to inaccurate planning. Find the exact number on your state's site. Second, failing to report tips risks fraud and overpayment penalties. Track and report all gross tips weekly. Third, ignoring taxes means your take-home could be lower than you assume. Estimate withholding in your models. Fourth, assuming rules are universal is dangerous since each state differs. Use your state's calculator and official FAQs. Finally, missing weekly certification deadlines can delay or deny payments. Set reliable reminders. Quiz time. The question is, if your weekly earnings exceed the earnings disregard, what typically happens to your unemployment insurance benefit? Option A. Nothing changes until you exceed your weekly benefit amount. Option B. It is reduced dollar for dollar by the excess over the disregard. Option C. It is reduced by 50% of your total earnings. Option D. It increases to offset your taxes. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is B. In many states, benefits are reduced dollar for dollar by the portion of your earnings that exceed the disregard, up to your full weekly benefit amount. As always, verify the exact formula used by your state. Second quiz. The question is, which earnings must you report during your weekly certification? Option A. Only base hourly wages from payroll. Option B. Only income paid via direct deposit. Option C. All gross earnings, including cash tips and variable income. Option D. Nothing if you didn't reach the disregard. We will the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is C. You must report all gross earnings, including cash tips and other variable income. Underreporting can result in penalties and fraud findings. Use this weekly reporting checklist. First, confirm your gross wages before taxes. Second, add all tips, including cash. Third, compare your total to your state's earnings disregard. Fourth, note any excess that may reduce your benefits. Fifth, file your weekly certification on time. Sixth, keep pay stubs, tip logs, and notes. Finally, rerun your state's calculator if your hours change to ensure you still achieve a net gain. This pie chart shows an illustrative composition of weekly income. Part-time wages at 200, UI benefit at 200, and other household income at 100. The values are for demonstration only. Visually, you can see how UI and wages together might form the bulk of weekly income in a partial unemployment scenario. This helps you gauge how changes in wages, which may reduce UI, shift your overall income mix. Here are the key takeaways. The earnings disregard is usually small, and earnings above it often reduce your benefit dollar for dollar. If the excess equals or exceeds your weekly benefit amount, your UI can drop to zero for that week. Report all gross income, including tips, with no exceptions. Use your state's official calculator before accepting low-paying roles near the cutoff. Keep meticulous records and file your certification on time. To wrap up, remember that partial unemployment rules vary by state, and you must verify locally. Low wages can sometimes replace rather than increase your total income, so perform careful calculations before you accept part-time work. Reassess weekly, including taxes and tips. Above all, file accurate and timely certifications to avoid penalties and interruptions in benefits. Thanks for watching. If this video helped you, please like, share, and subscribe. I'd love to hear your questions and experiences in the comments so we can learn together and help others make informed choices.